Sarah was only 12, but she was already facing the final stage of that terrible cancer. After rounds of chemo didn't work, the doctors, with heavy faces, reluctantly gave her family some advice. Just do something truly meaningful with the time she has left. As life was slipping away, Sarah, as if she knew her time was short, smiled at her parents and whispered what sounded like a last wish. She didn't want to go to theme parks or meet celebrities. Sarah just wanted to go to the Savannah, the land of those golden plains where she believed that only by watching every living thing carry on with life there would she feel completely alive, part of the beautiful nature this place offered. A simple wish, but it brought her peace during her little remaining time. For Sarah's parents, this trip should have been a fun family vacation like any other, but now it felt so painful, so full of loss. Her parents held the travel tickets, feeling a sharp, agonizing ache. This was the last holiday, a desperate, hopeless effort just to see a full smile bloom one more time on their daughter's pale face after years of sickness. Sarah, with her short, thin hair from the treatments, wasn't sad at all. She looked at the scattered acacia trees, at the huge African sky. Her biggest struggle wasn't between pain and emotion anymore, but between life and death. Sarah had arrived. The question kept spinning in her head. When life is just a countdown, what do you regret? Does it really matter? And then the Savannah answered her. Right now, in the middle of the vast plains, Sarah was about to meet a creature that was also alone, also resilient, and also counting down its final days. This meeting would change the meaning of death and start a new chapter no one had ever imagined. Watch the whole video because this lesson about the will to overcome adversity is going to change your comfortable life. The family's Jeep stopped in a quiet spot. The local guide, an older man named Themba, had been briefed about the sensitive nature of this trip. He took them to a secluded area, away from the usual tourist noise. Sarah's parents' hope was for their daughter to see the beauty and magic of creation, graceful giraffes, running zebras. They wanted her to see the vibrant life, so her final moments would be filled with positive color. Sarah smiled too. She took a deep breath, smelling the dry grass and the desert earth. She had seen the magical life. But deep in her eyes, she was still searching for something that wasn't quite right. Themba pointed toward a large granite outcrop, where a few small acacia trees grew. "Look over there, Sarah. Can you see those trees?" Themba said softly. "That's a very special place, you know." But when Sarah looked up, she didn't see any living creature moving nearby. She froze when she spotted under the shadow of the trees a huge male lion. It was lying still. Even from a distance, everyone could tell something was off about the big lion. Why was it alone? Why was it lying still there? It had a thick, dark mane, a sign of a formidable lion, but the mane was scraggly, faded. Its body was emaciated, ribs showing clearly under the skin. Countless scars crisscrossed its face, marks of fierce battles. But now it was probably old, and sickness had ruined its glorious conquests. Themba explained in a low voice. That was the strongest lion in this area, but only before. It's probably seriously sick or driven away by younger males in the pride. It chose a quiet place to wait for death from old age. Sarah's parents' hearts sank. They wanted their daughter to see joy, not the harsh reality and impending death. Her mother quietly turned away to wipe her tears. Her father quickly tried to get Themba to change the subject and rush them to other places. But Sarah stopped them. She looked at the lion, then at her parents. She seemed to empathize with the lion. Same situation, but different worlds. She looked at her own skinny arm, where needle marks and bruises from chemo were deeply etched. Then she looked at the lion's scars, scars from a past fight for life. In that moment, Sarah and the king of the jungle found a connecting thread, a random common ground that was perfectly timed. They were two warriors fighting the same battle, the battle against giving up. She suddenly realized that this individual was also bravely resisting sickness, also exhausted, just like her. She decided this wasn't going to be her last trip. This was where she found her ally, her companion, where the fierce will to overcome adversity was ignited. Sarah knew everyone looked at her with pity, but she didn't need that. She needed something to accompany her, and she found that in the condition of this old lion. Sarah gently lay down on the grass, only about 10 meters from the lion. She pushed the blanket away, letting her body touch the earth. This was an incredibly reckless act, but her instinct told her the biggest danger wasn't the lion, but the surrender, losing the will to keep living. Sarah's parents, horrified, rushed towards her, but the guide, Themba, held them back. He looked at Sarah, then at the lion, and whispered, "Let the child feel the magic of nature. It will be good for her." After a few minutes of silence, the lion slowly lifted its head. It didn't growl. It just looked straight at Sarah. Its dull gold eyes, once fierce and proud, now looked at her with empathy. It seemed to sympathize with her too. Sarah looked back. She looked at the scars on the lion's face, scars on its ear, scars on its shoulder. Every scar was like a medal after each battle. She didn't see a sick lion. She saw a monument full of glorious victories. Sarah opened her sketch pad. She began to draw. She didn't draw the lion in its current state. What she drew was the most majestic moment of the lion's life, in a fighting stance, mane flying in the wind, eyes blazing. The miracle happened. The lion closed its eyes. It didn't move at all. It had accepted Sarah's presence, accepted this unspoken trust. For 30 minutes, the king of the jungle slept, while a 12-year-old girl sat sketching just a few steps away from it. Sarah felt a powerful current run through her. She no longer felt alone. The struggle to reclaim life wasn't hers alone. She had a companion, a warrior who refused to yield. When the lion woke up, it looked over at Sarah. Sarah stopped drawing. She gathered all her courage, whispering in her throat, "I know you're really tired too. I am too. We won't stop here, will we? We'll try till the end, right?" She placed her notebook on the grass, opening it to the drawing of the lion. She quickly wrote, almost scratching the paper with shaky handwriting, "Don't give up." She looked straight at the lion. "You absolutely have to wait for me. If I make it, I'll come back to visit you. You are not allowed to give up. Do you understand? Let's promise." Sarah had given the lion a promise, and in return, she had given herself a reason to survive. She wasn't fighting for herself. She was fighting because of a vow to an old lion on a distant continent. The lion looked at Sarah one last time. Its eyes no longer showed fatigue. They held a new firmness, a silent agreement. It had registered the vow. Sarah stood up. She was changed. The last trip was over. The real battle had just begun. Sarah got back in the car. It seemed the trip had completely changed her mindset. The fatigue, the painful acceptance, everything had been replaced by a fierce, burning flame. As the Jeep drove back, Sarah's parents looked at each other in astonishment. Her daughter hadn't cried. She hadn't asked for anything. Instead, Sarah opened her notebook and started sketching. She wasn't drawing the lion anymore. She was drawing images of life, of green plains, of a clear sky, of herself running happily in the fields. "We absolutely have to come back," Sarah said, her voice full of determination. "I have to keep my promise. I have to come back to visit him." From that moment on, Sarah's treatment completely changed. She accepted every new treatment plan, no matter how painful. Before, she fought for her parents. Now, she was fighting because of a vow to an old lion on a distant continent. On sleepless nights due to pain, when everything around her blurred, Sarah would open her notebook. She looked at the king of the jungle's eyes, and she would whisper, "You are not allowed to give up. I won't give up either." Sarah's sketchpad became her weapon. It was proof that life was still out there, that there was still a friend waiting for her to fulfill her promise. Every time her fever spiked, every time her body ached from the chemicals, the image of the lion returned, reminding her to be resilient, to face difficulties, to become stronger. Sarah's parents noticed the clear positive change in her. They no longer saw their daughter as a patient counting down the days. They saw her as a soldier fighting against everything for a goal. They were more determined to stand by her, with the belief that if a wild creature could inspire such powerful hope, a miracle was entirely possible. 3 years, a time